Hey folks, today we're going to be taking Hannyabal for a spin. Hannyabal is a leader that released in the OP07 set, and I've not really seen much chatter or many deck lists for him. His leader ability reads, at the end of your turn, you may return one of your cost 2 or greater Impel Down characters to your hand, set up to one Don card from your Don deck as active. The way I've constructed the deck here is for maximum ramp, because Hannyabal really has the potential to ramp up to 9 or 10 Don faster than perhaps any other deck. I think the downside of Hannyabal is that the purple and blue Impel Down packages don't really work amazingly well together. So the list I've got here leans into the purple Impel Down package and then kind of has just some of the best utility blue cards to use. So before I show you any gameplay, I'll run you through the deck list that I'm going to be playing. First up, I'm playing for Prince Bellet. He's a Impel Down card, he's a 2k counter, and he's a 2 cost. So on your 2 Don turn, if you go in second, he's a great candidate to play out, bring back to hand to ramp an active Don. I'm playing 3 of the 9-drop Dracul Mihawk from OP01, just one of the best high-end blue cards that you can cheat out early with Hannyabal. I'm playing 2 of the 10-drop blue Kaido, who can bounce an 8 cost and a 3 cost back to the opponent's hand. Good for dealing with Kid. Yes, we've got a lot of top end. I'm playing 2 of the other 10-drop blue Kaido that lets you draw 4 cards if your opponent is at 3 or less life. I'm playing 3 of the OP06 Charlotte Pudding that makes your opponent put all of their cards from hand back into their deck and then draw 5 fresh cards. Just a really good blue card, it's a menace. I think every blue deck should have at least a couple of copies of Pudding in there. Now moving more into the Impel Down stuff, I'm playing 4 Mino Chihuahua. Mino Chihuahua is an Impel Down / Jailer Beast type card that came out in the EB01 set. It has Rush, and on KO, it can ramp Arrested Don. Now, by the way, this ramping of Arrested Don applies to other Jailer Beasts in the deck as well. I'm playing 4 Little Sadie, one of the most important cards in terms of the Hannyabal strategy. Little Sadie is a 2k counter, but she's a 3-cost character who on play can cheat out a Jailer Beast. So really, one of the perfect turns you can do with Hannyabal is on your 3 Don turn, cheat out Little Sadie, play a Jailer Beast, bring Sadie back to hand to ramp an active Don, and let your Jailer Beast tank a hit from your opponent to ramp Arrested Don. So you've just ramped 2 extra Don. You're going to go to your 7 Don turn next. That's awesome. Moving on, I'm playing 4 Domino. Domino is an Impel Down blocker, but she's a 2 cost as well, so she's another candidate for being played out and then brought back to hand for some ramp by Hannyabal. I'm playing 4 of the Hannyabal Impel Down Searcher. Generally speaking, this guy is only really used in emergencies if my starting hand isn't looking great, because ultimately the danger with playing a Searcher in a deck like this is our top end isn't searchable, so only really for emergencies. I'm playing 4 Magellan. Magellan's a great card for purple decks that ramp, because on play, if you return a Don, the opponent returns a Don, and then if they KO him, the opponent returns 2 more Don. So he can be a real menace and set your opponent's plans back. I'm playing 4 Mino Koala. This is another Jailer Beast, but this one has blocker. I'm playing 2 Mino Zebra, another Jailer Beast, but this one has Banish. I'm playing 3 of the Purple Rush Kaido that can pop a 6 cost or lower on play. I'm playing Queen, generically good purple blocker, great stat line and can help you fix your hand on play. And then a little bit of spice, I'm playing 4 Gum Gum Champion Rifle. This is a counter event that buffs your leader by 2000 power, but then it makes your opponent return 1 active character to hand. So this can genuinely take your opponent by surprise and really ruin their board. And of course, because Hannyabal can ramp an active Don at the end of his turn, you don't have to leave a Don up specifically to play this event. So this is the deck list that I'm going to be running. I want to show you exactly what Hannyabal is capable of. Let's get to the gameplay. Okay, we got some red-purple lore action. I'm tempted to keep this hand because we've got little Sadie, which is important, but we've also got Bellet that we can play out. That's really good. Turn 1, we can play Bellet out, bring him back, ramp a Don. We're going to be on 5 Don next turn already, which against lore is going to feel good because we can drop Magellan, and that's really going to mess with lore's Don. Now they're going 8 at me, which, to be honest, feels quite good that they're not going to be playing a body. Just takes a little bit of board pressure off. So, more than happy to take the hit. They do play out Shouchy Penguin, but if you think about this situation now, if I drop Magellan, they're going down to 1 Don. So that feels like the best play, even though it's going to hurt my Don. It feels like the best play. So that's what we do. And we also swung 5 at them to get 1 life off, which is nice too. So this has been a good start so far. Let's see what they do. Only 3 Don to work with, which isn't much. So they go 6 at me. I'll drop a Bellet because I've got plenty of 2Ks at the moment. 7 at me I'll take and pass. So, kind of want to get rid of Shouchy Penguin, in all honesty, so swing 7. Okay, they drop 2 counters to save him. I'll do another 7. And then we'll play out Zebra. Ooh. They've dropped... Okay, we'll play out Mino Zebra here. We'll bring back Sadie to hand. So they drop 4 cards in hand to save Shouchy Penguin. In the long run, I think they're going to pay for that. So they played out Bon Clay. Now, ordinarily, I'd be happy to let a Magellan go. But if I keep Magellan on board, I've got a lot of pressure. So we use the Gum Gum Champion Rifle event, which makes them return an active character to hand. So they return Bon Clay, they do another swing at the Magellan, and I'll drop a 1k to save it, because like I said, I've got some good board pressure here. So we're going to try and get rid of Shouchy Penguin again, which we do. I think the best play now is to try and get a Banish swing in with the Zebra, because that's going to hurt them. We succeed, might as well do a 5, a vanilla attack. Do they take? They do. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe just another Magellan here. So we're not going to ramp, but they're going to really have to block her up, yep, to survive here. So they played a Kid, they played a Raise Max, one of the Magellans is going here. But that's fine, because we've got Kaido in hand, and I think we've basically won this game already here. 7 at the Zebra. I'm going to save it, because we're going to go for game. We want as many bodies as possible to go for game here. And this is basically it here, so we drop the Kid with Kaido. And I think what happened there is they quit out, basically... just as I was pressing the attack button, but there was no way out for them. We had 4 attacks, they only had 1 life and a few cards in hand, so... Okay, now we got Rob Lucci. So we really want to just ramp here and get the big bodies out as soon as possible, so... We're going first, and we've got Sadie and Mino Chihuahua to play on turn 2. That's going to be a great start. Let's see if they play stage. They don't, so we'll go 5. Which they take, that's nice. Now we'll play the Chihuahua. We'll swing 5 again. And of course what we're going to do here is recall Sadie to hand, and if they KO the Chihuahua, we get to ramp again, because all of these Jailer Beasts ramp on KO. So we're ramping really, really fast here. So they do swing at Chihuahua. I'm more than happy to let him go. So we're now on 5 Don already. We're going to go to 7. Okay, they play Rebecca. So they're playing a little bit defensive here. Now, I don't really have anything to play on my next turn, in all honesty. So what I'm kind of thinking of doing is seeing if I can get a hit on life in, and then playing Charlotte Pudding. Because ultimately I'll rip 3 cards out of their hand, and that's really the only decent, half-decent play that I can do at this stage in time. And then I'll be able to drop Mihawk next turn. So that's exactly what I do here. So we've got an 8k swing. Hoping that they don't block with Rebecca. Okay, the plan's working. So we'll drop a Pudding, mess them up a little bit, and pass. So, obviously Pudding is an MVP against an L, against Whitebeard, against Black Yellow Luffy. But I just felt like it was worth using on that occasion because we didn't really have anything else to do. So they block her up, and to be honest with you, okay, so they're doing a 6k. I'll take that because I'm not taking any damage yet. Now, to be honest, there's a few plays that I'm not overly happy with in this game. First of all, for some reason, I swing at them before playing Mihawk, which doesn't make any sense because I'm just giving them a free block with Sabo. Then play Mihawk and bounce the Sabo. I probably should have just played Mihawk first and then swung with Hannyabal, and we might have actually gotten rid of the Rebecca or a card in hand. So that was a bit of a silly misplay. And there is also a kind of quite dangerous misplay at the end of this game as well. I think that's one fun thing about recording and kind of watching back. You do kind of spot these silly things that you do, basically. So they basically bring out a second Sabo. So they're playing incredibly defensive here. They've not actually removed anything by, black KO effects yet. Stage has come out, though. So they're probably going to try and get rid of Mihawk next turn. I'm going to defend against that 6k by dropping Bellet. Now on 10 Don, we don't have another boss monster to drop. So we'll start with a 9k swing. Hope that they give up a blocker here. They don't. They just take a life, but that's fine as well. We'll do 7. Okay, they block with Sabo and a 2k. I'm tempted to swing 7 with Charlotte Pudding as well, just to keep that pressure going on, because they don't have a huge amount of cards in hand. Okay, so the Rebecca's now gone. So we'll play Domino, and we'll play out Zebra, and then we'll bring Sadie back. So we got Domino there, potentially as a blocker, if they decide to swing big at Mihawk, but more prominently, it's just an extra body on board so that, we've kind of maintaining some level of board presence, even if they get rid of 2 things here. So they start with a swing at Pudding, which I defend. And they play Sabo. So, unfortunately for us, that's a really strong play, because it's going to get rid of really our 2 viable attackers, Zebra and Mihawk. So you might think we're in a bit of a sticky situation here, which in some ways we kind of are. I'm going to drop Queen, and we get Kaido, which is exactly what we want. And we'll play out Minotaur, again, just for some board presence. We'll do 7 at leader. So they're going to have to either get rid of their blocker or take a life here, I think. Okay, take a life. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring Sadie back to hand, and we're going to use Gum Gum Champion Rifle. Now, this is kind of where the misplay, or the kind of a bit of a scary situation came in. So what they do first is they play out Kaku to get rid of Minotaur. Now, what I want to do is when they swing at me, I want to play Gum Gum Champion Rifle, which forces them to to return an active character to hand. They get to choose, though. Now, keep in mind, if they bring Sabo back to hand and then play him out again, I can't do my big Kaido play to end the game. So, after I use that counter event, that's what springs to mind. Oh no, what if they bring Sabo back to hand? The Sabo blocker. Now, as it turns out, don't want to ruin the moment here, but they actually bring Kaku back to hand. Getting all these champion rifles here. They bring Kaku back to hand, and then they get incredibly greedy, in my opinion, because they bring Kaku out again to pop something else. So they pop the domino blocker. Then they swing 5, so I might as well block with... well, I take a life just to see what I get, to be honest with you. But yeah, we can play Kaido here. We can pop the blocker. And ultimately, that was extremely lucky that they didn't bring Sabo back to hand and replay him, because then we couldn't have done this play, which ultimately closes out the game. So we get a big 10 swing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go 5-6-5. It's risky because they might be able to defend all of these hits. So we go 5. They give us a 2k, which is an encouraging sign. We go 6. Gives another 2k. So here we go. This is the big risk. We go 5 with Pudding. And we get the win. Next game is Perona. Now this one ended prematurely, but I've included it because it's just a really good example of the insane ramp that Hannyabal is capable of. So we've got a really good starting hand. We've got plenty of Jailer Beasts to choose from. We can do our Sadi play. We're looking good here. So they play their Momonosuke Searcher. They take Ryuma, obviously playing the Wano package, which is popular with Perona at the moment. So ultimately, got to get rid of Momo. And then we can play out Chihuahua for a little bit of pressure early on. They drop a Helmeppo, and we do our ramp. Now obviously, Chihuahua is going, and we're more than happy to let Chihuahua go. So what we have in hand is 10-drop Kaido. So what I really, really, really want to do is have them take a life so that Kaido can we can get some real value out of that Kaido. So we swing 9, which is almost a guaranteed hit. And then we can do our classic ramping, bring out Mino Koala, who's a blocker this time. Again, we're not really bothered if they get rid of Mino Koala, because we're on 10 Don now. Already we're on 10 Don. We can drop the big boy. I'm just contemplating whether to actually Charlotte Pudding them here, but I decide no, let's do the the no-nonsense play, swing 5, get a card out of hand, and then play the big boy himself and pass. We've got a huge amount of cards in hand. We've got a 10k, 12,000 power character on board. They're not even at 10 Don yet, but they do play Ice Age to reduce Kaido down to a 5 cost, and they quit. So when you look at their hand there, you can see they've got a couple of Ryumas, but they don't have any more cost reductions. So I think they made a mistake. I think what they were thinking is they were gonna rest the Kaido and pop him with Ryuma. They didn't have the resources to deal with him. So okay, a bit of an off-meta game here. We've got red, purple, Uta. So we got a bit of a ramp versus ramp situation. So turn 1, I actually play Hannyabal because I really wanted to get a little Sadie, which is what we get. They play their own Searcher, the 2-cost Luffy. So now we're going to do the all-reliable, as I like to call it. We're going to bring out Chihuahua, slap them for 5, which they defend, and bring back Sadi. So this is very much a ramp versus ramp situation because Uta can ramp by dropping a card in hand, but they play Bon Clay, who's a great ramper anyway, and they swing at Chihuahua, and you see they discard to ramp. So this is an interesting game because I don't want to, it's going to be tough for me to maintain a strong, like, Don lead over them here. So we swing 9, and then we're going to play out a second Chihuahua to swing 5 again. Now the thing about this play, which is quite nice, is it effectively turns off their Bon Clay. It's highly unlikely that they're going to swing with Bon Clay for 5k because they're probably going to want to wait it out, wait for me to get a bigger body on board, rather than wasting Bon Clay. So they play out Zephyr. They pop Mino Chihuahua, which is actually a decent move because, and then they swing 6 because that Zephyr disables cards' abilities, so we don't ramp a Dom, but it doesn't matter because we're on 10 at this point anyway. Now, you would have thought Mihawk would be the best play here, but I actually think to myself, we can really mess with them here. We can set them back a whole turn if we just play 2 Magellans, right? So I'm really, really tempted to play Mihawk, but let's do Magellan. So the logic here behind playing 2 Magellans is A, they return 2 Don, so it sets them back. They're not going to be able to drop like a Kaido on us. And B, it also means what I'm kind of banking on is that they're going to swing 6 at us with Bon Clay and not get a big 9k swing with Bon Clay. So it's kind of there's 2 reasons why I did that play. So they do a little bit of ramping, swing 5, which I'm going to counter. I'm going to get rid of Hannyabal because we're not going to need to search again at this stage in time. So they do a 6k, which is what I expected. I'm going to take that hit. We get Mino Chihuahua. They swing 7. Get rid of a couple of cards there. Maybe I should have defended against the 6 and took the 7 at the end of the day. Then they play Sabo. Gets rid of Magellan, but the great thing about that is, again, kind of invalidates their own Don ramping. So they've used their Bon Clay. We can get rid of that nice and easy now with Hannyabal, with the Searcher, but they actually drop a 2k to save it. And you'll love to see that because it's kind of like, it's just not worth doing, in my opinion. So we can now play Mihawk, get rid of their Sabo, and they effectively have no board, and they're not even on 10 Don still, because of my Magellan hijinks, and they just quit out because there's nothing they can do. So that was a good showcase of what Magellan is capable of. Now we go into Black Yellow Luffy. I think one key card in this game could be Charlotte Pudding. We don't get a Pudding opening hand, but we basically get everything that we need for a great curve. So we can play out our Searcher turn 1. It'd be nice to take the Gungam Champion Rifle, but Hannyabal only searches for purple Impel Down cards. We'll take Mino Chihuahua and we'll pass turn. So they do some of their searching antics and pass. Now I'm thinking here, usually we would play Mino Chihuahua, but we don't want to be too aggressive. And kind of play into Black Yellow Luffy's game plan and get them too low on life. So we play Mino Koala in this situation, hoping that they swing in so that we can pop the Koala, ramp a Don, and everything's good. So fortunately for us, that's exactly what they do. They swing 9. We're more than happy to drop Koala. You have to excuse if you hear the odd squeak of this chair, which is rather annoying. So again, I'm thinking in this situation, Magellan is a really good play, just because it disrupts them a little bit, and we can actually play out Bellet here to kind of ramp back and recover from playing out Magellan. We'll do a 5 at this point. We do want to take a tiny bit of damage off them, kind of get them prepped for game, if you will. I assume they'll take, and they do take. So yeah, we'll play out Bellet, bring him back, and we've kind of recovered from that Magellan play. So we're going into a 9 Don turn next turn. So they're on 5. What would be ideal for us is if they play Sabo, so we can just bottom deck it with Mihawk, and that's exactly what happens. So they've played into our hands, if you will. Sorry, that was a bit dramatic. It would, like I said, it would be perfect if we got a Pudding. It would be absolutely perfect if we got a Pudding, but whatever the case, Mihawk is gonna do what Mihawk does here. Bottom deck Sabo, and we can do a swing. Maybe, well, we could do a 7k swing with Magellan. They're just taking their time, trashing cards. I think this is my favorite play. Oh, we can do 6 with Magellan. I think that's my favorite play. When you're playing blue or any deck that is blue or half blue, bouncing characters like Borsalino and Sabo that have that KO protection. It feels great, doesn't it? So we're just kind of building a board here. We've got a couple of plays we could do next turn, depending on what they do. So we could drop another Mihawk, or if we're feeling spicy, we could surprise them with a Mino Koala. I'm getting all these Jailer Beasts mixed up. We could surprise them with a Mino Chihuahua rush swing. So they actually play Perona out, which is a tech choice that I've never seen in a Black Yellow Luffy deck before, in all honesty. So I'm more than happy to let Magellan go, because it means that they go back a turn in terms of Don. Now, to be honest, with the end of this game here, like I said, there's a few ways that you could do things. Again, we're thinking, should we play Mihawk? Should we get another big body out and bottom deck Perona? To be honest, I get maybe a little bit greedy here, and maybe a little bit too aggressive. I decide, let's go 7 first, because they're almost guaranteed to take a 7. So I do have a lot of cards in hand. Then we go for a 9. Now they take the 9, and like I said, I think maybe I did get a little bit greedy. It paid off here, but we did a big 10k swing with Chihuahua, and it actually gets them. They've got a... Well, the weird thing is, actually, when you look at their hand, they could have defended this swing. Ultimately, I didn't get punished for that. I think a safer play would have been to play the Mihawk out. But yeah, you can't argue with a victory like that because, you know, we kind of had them on the ropes, I feel like, either way. And there you have it. That is Hannyabal. In terms of a deck review, the main thing that holds Hannibal back, in my opinion, is a lack of consistency. If you could play the purple and blue Impel Down package, that would be brilliant, but the cards kind of want to achieve different things, and I don't feel they're complementary. It's a fun deck, but that lack of consistency is going to hurt you, because if you don't see your top end, you're kind of going to be treading water at the end of the game. In terms of good versus bad matches for Hannibal, to be honest, with Hannibal, if you high roll, you can overwhelm just about anybody. I think in terms of the meta decks, Hannibal probably has a decent time against Red Purple Lore more than any others, because Magellan is devastating to play for Lore, and Lore really struggles a lot more than other decks to take care of your big, high-cost characters. In terms of other cards to play, well, that's a bit of an open-ended question. You could lean into the blue Impel Down package and play Ivankov for that 7 Don turn to cheat out another Impel Down character. There's plenty of other top-end options that you could go for as well. After playing with this list, I did think about maybe dropping Queen in favour of X-Drake. That would probably help a little bit in terms of fishing for the right top end. But yeah, Hannibal was a lot of fun to play, and when it works, it's devastating to just play big body, big body, big body with no answers from your opponent. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.